Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of year again. Halloween Horror Nights is quickly approaching, and it's about time we start discussing what we know so far about this year's event. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the confirmed and announced haunted houses for the 2022 event. We're going to be discussing the dates for this year's event, the ticket prices, and of course, at the very end, we're going to be discussing the leaks and the rumors for this year's event because, oh boy, we have a lot of leaks for this year's event, and oh my gosh, just make sure you stay tuned until the very end of the video because the leaks that we have for this year's event are juicy. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get into this year's event and what we know so far. This year's event is set to feature 10 haunted houses, 5 scare zones, and 2 shows. And I swear, guys, each year it seems like the event is getting better and better, and the event keeps getting longer and longer. This year's event for the 2022 season is going to be the longest we've ever had. Halloween Horror Nights is starting earlier than ever this year during the 2022 season, with the first official night being September 2nd and running select nights all the way through October 31st. Honestly, guys, I promise you, it will not be long now before Halloween Horror Nights starts bleeding its way into late August, and I honestly cannot wait for that. If you guys are trying to plan a vacation for this year's event and you're looking for more specific dates, I'm going to go ahead and link the Halloween Horror Nights website down in the description below, so that way you guys can look up more specific dates. So let's go ahead and get into the already announced haunted houses for this year's event. As I said earlier, guys, we're supposed to have 10 haunted houses, and so far we have 4 that's already announced. Let's go ahead and talk about the very first one that was announced earlier this year, Universal Monsters Legends Collide.
I'm telling you, you missed out.
I'll come out next time, but I'll see you later on tonight.
Just text me.
Bye.
Universal Monsters, Legends Collide. Only at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights.
So getting into the official description of Universal Monsters Legends Collide, if you thought one Universal monster was scary, how about 3? Better summon your Scream Squad, cause you're about to get caught in the middle of an epic battle between the Wolfman, Dracula, and the Mummy, together for the first time ever. Their mission? To find the amulet that will break their curse, and they'll destroy anyone who gets in their way. We already made a video discussing this house earlier in the year when it was announced, and guys, I gotta say it again, I'm very excited for this haunted house. Anytime the Universal Monsters are featured at Halloween Horror Nights, those houses never disappoint me, so of course I gotta be very excited for this year's haunted house. Moving on to the second announced haunted house for this year's event. I gotta say, it's definitely not one that I was expecting, and to be completely honest with you guys, I'm kind of disappointed that we are getting it again. We're getting Halloween. Halloween is coming back to Halloween Horror Nights once again.
No, are you serious? Why would you go in there? Don't go in there. Oh, really? Ooh, I guess this is the part where the boogeyman gets me. Not real.
Step into the horror classic, Halloween. Only at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights.
Let's go ahead and get into the description for this year's Halloween haunted house. Gather your friends and visit Haddonfield, Illinois, where Michael Myers is about to don his mask and embark on his first brutal spree. Silent, merciless, relentless. He's the embodiment of pure evil. You won't want to go alone as you go back to where it all began. This year, step into the original 1978 horror classic, Halloween. So the reason why I'm so disappointed in seeing Halloween come back for another year at Halloween Horror Nights is because I feel like the Halloween franchise is a crutch haunted house for Halloween Horror Nights. I feel like it is its backup emergency franchise that it always goes to. I can't tell you how many times Halloween has been featured at Halloween Horror Nights. I mean, granted, Halloween Horror Nights has done a good job with spreading it out and going through the different movies in the franchise, and this year we're going back to the original, but I'm fairly certain that the original Halloween movie has been done before in Halloween Horror Nights past, and to be completely honest, I'd like to see something a little bit different done here and for them not to be reusing the Halloween franchise, but I'm still very hopeful that this is going to be a good house. The third Halloween Horror Nights haunted house that was announced for this year's event is The Horrors of Blumhouse.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
No doubt. No doubt about it.
Oh. What's up?
Hey, Chelsea, it's Brock.
It's Brock.
Brock.
Could you come get me?
Yeah, we can come get you. Rock? Rock, are you there?
Let's go.
The horrors of Blumhouse, featuring Freaky and the Black Phone. Only at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights.
Step inside to a new double feature of Blumhouse horror. Your Scream Squad will find yourselves trapped between a frantic teen and the ruthless serial killer she swaps bodies with in Freaky. Then you'll try to make a desperate escape from the dark basement of the Grabber before you become his latest victim in the terrifying The Black Phone. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I am very excited for this haunted house. Not only is Freaky a very good movie, it's also very interesting and very weird, and I'm very curious to see how this movie translates into a haunted house, but I am also very excited for The Black Phone. Now, I personally haven't seen The Black Phone yet, but I promise you I will get on that, so that way I am very familiar with the property before going into this haunted house, but I have heard a lot of good things from this movie, so once again, I am very curious to see how this movie translates into a haunted house for this year's event. And the last official haunted house that we have announced so far for this year's event, house number 4, The Weeknd, After Hours Nightmare.
Perfect.
Enter The Weeknd After Hours Nightmare. Only at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights.
Now, I gotta say, guys, The Weeknd is a property that was possibly the worst kept secret for this year's event. From the very get-go, on the speculation maps, we had The Weeknd plastered on that speculation map, and we all thought that we were getting played. There was no reason for us to believe that The Weeknd was actually going to partner with Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights and be featured in a haunted house for this year's event. But sure enough, one thing led to another, and the rumors became more and more true, and we finally got this announcement for The Weeknd After Hours Nightmare. Prepare to enter the macabre mind of The Weeknd in this haunted house as he stalks your squad through the surreal nightmare of his after hours music. A slasher carving a smile with an otherworldly rave. Bandaged maniacs performing extreme plastic surgery. A grotesque mannequin masquerade. His nightmare is now yours. Now, I'm not mad at all that The Weeknd is making an appearance at Halloween Horror Nights in his own haunted house. I actually recently learned what songs we need to brush up on and what music videos we need to watch in order to familiarize ourselves with this haunted house property. So I'm going to go ahead and leave a link in the description below for you guys, because there is a compilation video out there with all the music and all the music videos in one video that you need to watch and follow for this event. So make sure you guys go ahead and click that link down in the description below to watch that video and familiarize yourself with what you need to know for this year's event. Now, before we get into the leaks and rumors for this year's event, let's go ahead and talk about ticket pricing. So a little while ago, we had our single night tickets go on sale, but recently we had our multi-night tickets and express passes go on sale. So just to go ahead and do a quick rundown, a Halloween Horror Nights single night ticket is going to start at $73.99. And all of this, by the way, is if you purchase online. So the cheapest single night ticket that you can purchase online appears to be $73.99. And just scanning through the website here, it looks like there's another night that's $83.99. I see a night that's $97.99, and these are all in September. So the most expensive night is $97.99 for September. Moving on over into October, I see the most expensive night is going to be on most Saturdays throughout October, which is going to run you $104.99 for this year's event. Let's go ahead and get to express pass pricing. Now, the pricing that I'm going to describe to you right now is for a single night express pass. Now, it's important to keep in mind that express passes do not include entry into Halloween Horror Nights. This is a separately ticketed add-on that goes on top of your nighttime ticket purchase. So according to the Halloween Horror Nights website, it looks like the cheapest express pass pricing is going to run you $109.99 per person. And for September, it looks like the most expensive night for express is going to run you $169.99. Now, again, this is on top of your ticket purchase, so just bear that in mind. If you are wanting to get the cheapest price as possible for express pass, you're going to want to go on Wednesday nights. Those are going to be the cheapest days for you to purchase express passes. Moving on into October, it looks like the most expensive nights to purchase an express pass for a single night is going to run you $189.99. And from quick glancing right here, it only looks like 2 nights are going to run you $189, and that is Saturday, October 15th and Saturday, October 22nd. Those are the 2 most expensive nights and probably the busiest nights that we can expect this year at Halloween Horror Nights. Moving on down to our multi-night passes, we have the Halloween Horror Nights Rush of Fear Pass, which will allow you to experience the first 17 nights of the event. These Rush of Fear passes will run you $129.99. Moving on down to the next level of multi-night pass, we have the Halloween Horror Nights Frequent Fear Pass, which gets you 27 nights total into the event. It includes every Sunday through Thursday, and it gets you into the first weekend. These tickets will run you $179.99. Moving on to the next tier, which is the Halloween Horror Nights Frequent Fear Plus Pass. It gets you 36 total nights every Sunday through Friday, and it gets you into the first weekend and the last Saturday. This ticket will run you $219.99. And then, of course, rounding things off with our most expensive multi-night option, which is the Halloween Horror Nights Ultimate Frequent Fear Pass. This will grant you access into every single event night of this year's event, and this will run you $324.99. Some of our other add-ons here that we're not going to get into too much detail with. We have our Halloween Horror Nights Behind the Screams Unmasking the Horror Tour. I'm very happy to say that I am actually going to be taking some of these tours for the first time ever this year. I already have myself signed up for the 6 Haunted House tour and the 3 Haunted House tour. I'm very excited to bring you guys that kind of content. So if you guys are excited for that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and have that notification bell turned on to get notified when those videos come out in the very near future. We also have our Halloween Horror Nights RIP tours, which start from $279. Now, these RIP tours are per person and they do not include admission into your events, but you do have a VIP tour guide that escorts you through the exit to the haunted houses to the very front of the line. You do not even have to wait in the express pass lines. You skip all lines and go straight to the front of the house. So if you do have the money for it and you are there for only one night and you want to make damn sure that you experience everything, a Halloween Horror Nights RIP tour may be worth it for you. Moving on down here, we have our Scream Early ticket, which starts at $35 a person. So if you have a valid ticket for Halloween Horror Nights and you want to get into the park just a little bit early, you can go ahead and purchase a Scream Early ticket, which allows you early access into Universal Studios and allows you to stay in a Stay and Scream location, which grants you early access into the haunted houses before the event opens up to the general public. Again, if you have the extra budget and you want to make sure that you get all haunted houses done in one night, this may be a worthy add-on for you. And last but not least, we want to discuss the return of the Halloween Horror Nights Scare Actor Dining Experience. This is a separately ticketed experience that's going to run you $54.99. So basically, the Scare Actor Dining Experience is a pre-event dinner that you have at Louis' restaurant with different scare actors. As you are enjoying your dinner buffet, you do have different scare actors that are going to be walking around from table to table, and this is going to be the best time for you to get different pictures with all the different scare actors that they have throughout this year's event. We've done it in years past. We have a video on it back when it was at the Monsters Cafe. I'll leave a link to that video down in the description below, or I'll go ahead and leave it up in the top right corner for you to watch. All right, guys, well, that is going to do it for what we have officially announced for this year's event and what we know so far. Now, this next section of the video is going to be discussing the leaks and the rumors for this year's events. We're going to be pulling up the final speculation map from HN Nightmares on Twitter, and we are going to be discussing what we have yet to be announced for this year's event. Now, if you guys do not want to have anything else ruined for you and you don't want to hear about these leaks and rumors, then thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here, but it is time for you to click off. But if you are wanting to know more about this year's event and what is coming, then let's go ahead and get into it. You have been warned. So last week, we had the unfortunate incident that a house shirt was leaked for this year's event. And I have checked with my sources, and yeah, this leak is legit. So our friends over at HN Nightmares on Twitter went ahead and made their final speculation map for this year, and it includes those leaked haunted houses that were featured on that shirt. So let's go ahead and get into it and discuss what is yet to come for this year's event. Starting off with our first haunted house that was on that leaked shirt, Spirits of the Coven. I can only imagine that this is going to be a witch's house. I'm really hoping that this is a very woodsy house and it has a lot of trees everywhere. I'm hoping that it's super dark and we have a lot of scare opportunities from witches coming out of the trees and possibly flying above you. There's a lot of possibilities for this house. If you guys go back and look at videos from a couple years ago when we had the Scary Tales haunted house, we had a witch that would fly over you on a harness, and I really hope we see something similar to that at this year's event, specifically in this haunted house. Next up, we have Fiesta de Chupacabras. Now, this was a house that was always rumored to be a part of this event, and with this leaked shirt design, we have final confirmation that Fiesta de Chupacabras is going to be coming to this year's event. I'm very excited to see what they do with this event. To my knowledge, Chupacabras are supposed to be dog-like creatures that are almost resembling werewolves, so I'm very curious to see if they're going to reuse any of those werewolf puppets that we saw in American Werewolf in London and or the Trick or Treat haunted house from a couple years ago. Either way, I'm very excited for this haunted house, and any kind of Latin lore style haunted house is always a win for me. Next up on the HN Nightmare speculation map is Dead Man's Wharf. However, on the leaked shirt, it's listed as Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake. So I don't know if this is still going to be themed around Dead Man's Wharf, which was a scare zone that we had in the San Francisco section of the park several years ago. And I'm hoping that this is a similar haunted house to the Forsaken. Definitely one of my favorite haunted houses from years past. I'm hoping that it's similar. Either way, it has a lot of promise and I'm very excited. Moving on down the list, we have a haunted house that I am not excited for, but I am excited for because it has a lot of promise. This has the possibility of being the most traumatizing haunted house of the event this year, and that is Bugs Eaten Alive. Oh boy, I am a baby when it comes to bugs, especially spiders, and just thinking about what they could do in this haunted house, it just makes my skin crawl, for lack of better words. I'm just thinking about how dark the house could be and how they could simulate bugs either crawling on your feet or crawling on you. Like, they could easily get away with hanging thin strands of fishing line from the ceiling just so that way you're kind of walking through it and just feeling little things touching your face, and I am just not looking forward to it. They could do a lot to torture their guests in this house, and I'm very excited to see how they pull it off, but I'm also not excited to see how they pull it off. Next up, we have Descendants of Destruction. We don't really know too much about this haunted house or what it could really be themed around. We don't know what kind of monsters we could be seeing in this house, or humans, or we don't know what this house is going to be about. It's all really up in the air, but hopefully whenever this house does get officially announced by Halloween Horror Nights, we do get some kind of description and video along with it, so that way we know more or less what to expect. Now that's going to about wrap it up for the leaked haunted houses for this year's event. Let's go ahead and carry on down the speculation map to talk about the scare zones that we could possibly see for this year's event. Now again, these scare zones were not leaked, but they are a part of the speculation map, and based on some of the props that we are seeing pop up in the park recently, it looks like some of these rumors may be true. So let's go ahead and start off with the first scare zone, which is Traditional Halloween. This is scheduled to be at the very front of the park between Minion Mayhem and the former Shrek 4D building. Now I can imagine that this is possibly going to be a trick-or-treat style scare zone, or it's going to be a scare zone that features the typical monsters and imagery that you think of when you hear the word Halloween. Moving on down the list, we have Candy Mutants. This is going to be a scare zone that is located in the New York section of the park, right in front of Revenge of the Mummy. Now, I am very excited for this scare zone because basically think of Candyland, but nightmare form. There's a lot of possibility for this scare zone, and I'm very excited to see the kind of costumes that they have for this scare zone. Moving on, we have Coven Witches. So this is going to be in the San Francisco area of the park, and it is going to be located right across the way from the exit of Fast and Furious Supercharged. Now, typically this area of the park can get a little congested, so just be aware of that, but I am excited to possibly see a witch scare zone. Hopefully we see some wood style props pop up in that area of the park, or who knows, they might just do a fire pit down in the middle, a simulated fire pit, who knows. Either way, we're going to be getting witches in that area of the park. Moving on down to the Central Park area of Universal Studios, we have Scarecrow. Now, this is probably no surprise. Scarecrow is definitely a theme that fits in well with that area of the park. So I think that it's going to be a very interesting scare zone. I'm very interested to see if they pull any of the Scarecrow designs from the old Scarecrow house that we had a few years ago that was called Scarecrow the Reaping. Either way, the scare zone has a lot of promise to it, and I'm very excited to walk through this area. And last but not least, we have Deadly Unrest. This is going to be in the Hollywood section of the park where the Bourne Stuntacular is. Now, based on some of the props that we already have popping up inside that area of the park, we have a cemetery and mausoleum theme going on there, so it looks like Deadly Unrest may just be zombies, for lack of better words. I mean, I don't know. It could be either classified as zombies or just reanimated cadavers coming out of their coffins. Who knows? But either way, I am very excited for this. And for the rumored shows for this year's event, we of course have the possible return of Marathon of Mayhem, which is the Lagoon show, and the fan favorite from last year, Halloween Nightmare Fuel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, that is going to do it for this video, talking about what we know so far for this year's Halloween Horror Nights event and going over the leaks and rumors for this year's event. As always, guys, keep it tuned right here to the channel and make sure you guys are subscribed and have the notification bells turned on to get notified whenever we do upload a new video like this in the future, because we are going to be covering every new bit of news and information that is released over the next month. As I said, guys, Halloween Horror Nights is quickly approaching. We are officially less than a month away from opening night of Halloween Horror Nights, and there is still so much for them to announce. So as the news and information comes available, we are going to be making videos talking about it. So I hope you guys are tuned into the channel and you guys are subscribed. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe once again if you are new around here and you want to see more content like this in the future. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, morning, afternoon, evening, and I will see you guys in the next video.